Mystery surrounds a man's final moments before his death in a Hunter Valley backyard.
A man killed in a car crash involving a horse float on the Central Coast.
Fall from grace. Disgraced comedian Bill Cosby jailed for at least 3 years for drugging and sexually assaulting a woman.
And Billy Slater cleared to play in the NRL Grand Final.
I'm glad the Judiciary panel understood my point of view.
This is NBN News with Lobb and Natasha Beyersdorf.
Good evening. A man has died after being found with serious injuries in the backyard of a home at Cessnock in the Hunter Valley. 2 people have been questioned by police and released without charge over the incident, which has shocked the Coalfields community. Stephen Mount reports.
Police were called to this home on the corner of Edith and Chidgey Streets, Cessnock, around 11 last night to find a 36-year-old man injured in the backyard. He was treated here by paramedics, but died a short time later. Soon after, a 31-year-old woman and a 32-year-old man presented to Cessnock Police Station, where they were questioned by detectives. The woman was released while the man remains in custody. A crime scene was set up at the residence until early this afternoon, where a Nissan Patrol 4-wheel drive was seized for forensic examination. It's understood all 3 people were known to each other.
A man has died and a woman is fighting for her life following a crash on the Central Coast. Shortly after midday, a Toyota Camry and a truck collided at Kulnura. The elderly male driver of the car died at the scene, while the female passenger was airlifted to Westmead Hospital in a critical condition. The female truck driver wasn't injured, neither were 2 horses being towed in a float.
There's turmoil at the very top of the country's national broadcaster tonight, with claims of political interference at the ABC. It's alleged Chairman Justin Milne demanded a journalist be sacked because former Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull, also a close friend, had complained about her reporting.
The national broadcaster is in crisis. As around Australia, hundreds of its staff stopped work to demand the resignation of the ABC's chairman, Justin Milne.
He has no option but to resign immediately.
It comes just 2 days after his board's shock decision to sack the corporation's managing director halfway through her 5-year term.
Her leadership style was not the style that we needed going forward.
Michelle Guthrie is threatening legal action, and today it emerged the chairman had demanded she dismiss a senior journalist after a complaint by his former business partner, Malcolm Turnbull.
The ABC is a public broadcaster, not a state broadcaster. Just because the government doesn't like a journalist, I mean that journalist gets sacked.
With the government announcing an inquiry into this affair, the position of Justin Milne looks untenable. And the new Prime Minister has a clear idea of what he expects from the ABC.
It's funded by the Australian taxpayers and it can conduct itself in a highly independent and unbiased way.
ABC. Because it's your tax dollars at work. Chris Ullman, NBN News.
For decades, he was revered in Hollywood and adored by fans. But tonight, America's dad is behind bars.
Bill Cosby has been sentenced to 3 to 10 years jail for sexual assault. More than a dozen of his accusers were watching in court as he was finally brought to justice. He played a doctor and a much-loved dad, but his final TV role is one of convicted criminal. The one-time superstar taken off to prison in handcuffs, branded by the court for the rest of his life a sexually violent predator.
He used his acting skills and an endearing TV personality to win over his victims, and then keep them silent about what he did to them. So now finally, Bill Cosby has been unmasked.
More than a dozen women who claim he drugged and sexually assaulted them were there to see the last act in the 81-year-old's long career.
I sincerely hope that you suffer now. I cannot forgive. Right now. Because you deserve to feel in every moment for the rest of your life what the 63 of us women felt.
Bill Cosby, once one of the most powerful men in television, has always maintained his innocence throughout 2 trials and 1 conviction. He's remained firm on his actions 14 years ago and shown no remorse. After he landed in prison, tonight came the mugshot, and this
from Cosby's PR rep.
Mr. Cosby knows that God is watching over him. He knows that these are lies. They persecuted Jesus, and look what happened.
His wife of more than 50 years, Camille, stayed away from the court, but in a statement said he was convicted using falsified evidence. From Andrea Constant, the victim in this trial, and the more than 60 other women were convincing and remarkably similar. Cosby would offer to help with their acting careers. It would almost always end up as just the two of them. Then the drinks would come out. Little did they know the drinks were laced, and soon they'd be unconscious. Lily Bernard was his co-star and his victim.
Reach 8 minutes apart, that's when you call me. Now, what did I just say?
Call you every 8 minutes.
And while working on this very episode in 1992, she says he drugged, then raped her. Then came his threats to keep quiet.
He told me I better watch my back, so because when I told him that I would report him to the police, so now he's got to watch his back.
Cosby has spent most of his life the centre of attention, a national treasure. Now he's a national disgrace, the first person sent to jail in this Me Too era. In Norristown, Pennsylvania, Lizzie Pearl, NBN News. A property in Muswellbrook has been badly damaged in an early morning fire, one of two across the Hunter. Around the same time, a blaze also broke out in an apartment on Derby Street at Cooks Hill. Crews were called there around 4:15, evacuating several people. The unit was severely damaged, while several others were smoke affected.
Anyone who knows the whereabouts of missing Wallsend boy Kyle James is urged to contact police. The 15-year-old was last seen 2 weeks ago today. Kyle is approximately 160 centimetres tall and is of a medium build. Police believe he may still be in the Newcastle area.
There are delays for rail passengers tonight after a coal train derailed near Muswellbrook. It happened at around 12:30 this afternoon when several wagons left the tracks and became struck by a locomotive travelling in the opposite direction. The site of the accident between the Newdale and Drayton rail junctions has been closed off as transport safety officers investigate. Rail passengers are being urged to make alternative travel arrangements if possible.
A win today for environment groups against coal seam gas activity at Southern Lake Macquarie. The state government will buy back and cancel the petroleum exploration licence, ending gas exploration between Waihi, Budgewoi and Swansea.
It's over. No more gas exploration on the Central Coast, for now. Known as PEL 461, 10 years ago, the petroleum exploration licence was granted, making the coast a honeypot for gas exploration. Today, that PEL 461 has been bought back and cancelled.
It covers 15,000 hectares on the Central Coast, from Waihi to Swansea, so it is very, very good news.
Good news in time for an election around the corner, but regardless, environment groups are giving a sigh of relief after a decade of distress.
A lot of concern to the people of the Central Coast. We're very pleased today that we can give them that confirmation that the New South Wales Liberal Government has cancelled and bought back that licence.
The PEL 461 licence was the final permit allowing gas exploration in the region and across the state.
About 60% of New South Wales was covered by gas exploration licences.
Sarah Elmsui, NBN News.
A costly accident in Merewether with thousands of litres of water sent shooting into the air. It's understood a truck struck a roadside hydrant on Mitchell Street around 2 this afternoon, creating quite a sight for onlookers.
Well, I was sitting at my desk and I was kind of just getting on with my business and came outside and thought it was pouring down with rain.
Crews worked throughout the afternoon to bring the situation under control.
Police are sending out a strong but clear message to tradies in the Hunter: lock up your tools after a day's work. The stern warning comes after a spike in tool thefts on the Central Coast.
Tools are the very livelihood of a tradesman, but without equipment, their handiwork can grind to a halt.
They need those tools to make a living and to support the community in building someone's house, or helping someone who are doing renovations at their house.
On the Central Coast, there's been a recent rise in hard-working tradies having their tools nicked.
The community should feel confident that it is pretty safe at the moment. But unfortunately, the last couple of nights we've had some recent incidents in relation to stealings from tradie vans and tradie utes.
Brisbane Water Police are drilling in the message that taking simple measures can deter thieves.
The key message is look, lock and leave. All persons, look around the environment when you leave your car there. Make sure your car's locked before you actually leave it.
Other deterrents include keeping all valuables out of sight and engraving all equipment with your name.
When it's engraved, when the police locate that item, they can quickly do a search on our computer system and identify where that item belongs or who the lawful owner of that item is.
Sky Hull, NBN News.
Labor is calling for the New South Wales government to reconsider removing the Hunter's only urban search and rescue truck. Under the plan, it's understood only one of the 3 specialist vehicles in the state would be kept and stationed in Sydney. The search and rescue truck is often used in major rescues such as building collapses and earthquakes.